I think that there's a lot of good stuff to look forward to that I want to share with people today.
Yeah.
The one thing that I really want to say to the community, if you're watching, thank you to those of you that, there was kind of an outpouring of support for the people affected, and I think we all really appreciate that. Both the people that were affected and those of us that are still here, coming to work every day to do everything we can to make Smite 2 amazing, because we love this game, right? Yeah. Anyway, I really want to talk about where we're going with Smite 2.
Yeah.
And
there's a lot of change on the way.
There's a lot of change on the way, and I know that when something like this happens, there's a lot of concern about who's even still there? Are there enough people to keep working on the game?
Yeah.
And we have, I think, a very aggressive, very good schedule that will hopefully address a lot of your concerns. So,
hopefully, yeah.
So I'm gonna go through that now, and I apologize. I'm looking now because I have my notes on my phone just to make sure that I don't forget to say anything, because I am a little bit scatterbrained today. Okay, so the first thing, we've been spending since early closed alpha, or we've been reading all of your posts, we've been listening to all of your feedback, we've been watching your streams and everything. And I think what we've gathered is that given the state of the game right now, there's kind of 4 key issues facing Smite 2. There's not enough content. Specifically, there are not enough gods.
I hear that one a lot, yeah.
There's not enough quality, right? Ranging from some core gameplay feel issues to specific bugs to matchmaking. It's one that comes up a lot, right? Number 3 is that we're not moving fast enough to address these things, and you don't feel like the game's improving quickly enough. And number 4 is that we're not talking to you enough about the things that we are doing to improve the game and making you feel and believe that we are addressing these things. So today I want to talk about those 4 issues and how we're addressing those. But first I want to kind of talk about the core issue that led us to this in the first place. To sound like a broken record, Smite 2 is an alpha. We've said very publicly, this game is an alpha. There's an alpha tag on the thing, and we've expected you as the players to treat it like an alpha, but I'm not sure that we as a dev team have treated it enough like an alpha from our dev calendar perspective. And we're a team that spent a decade running a tightly tuned ship where I would know today what's going to ship a year from now.
Yeah.
And it's all about very precise plans of exactly what you're going to do and how you're going to deliver on a timeline. And I think, though, we kind of tried to we'll be more dynamic and we'll be more flexible, and we'll listen to the community, and you've seen some examples of doing that. I don't think we've gone enough in that way. I think we've been a little bit stuck in the old ways of the way we were running the game.
I could agree.
This is going to sound probably pretty silly to everybody listening, but we had a really big conversation before we went into closed alpha, where for years and years, Smite 1 has been on an every 4-week patch cycle.
Oh yeah, years.
And we were like, cool. And we're like, you know what? I think we could get to 3. I think that's so much faster. The players are going to love it if we patch every 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And now that we've been doing it for a little while, we're like, that's ridiculous. Like, we can't do that. We can't keep patching every 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So I think generally we know we need to move faster with more urgency. We need to communicate more. And going forward, we're going to be much more open about what we're working on, and how we're addressing things and whatnot. But the one thing I want to say is that before I launch into everything else is that because we're being more open, because we're telling you more about our early plans, I ask that you give us a little bit of grace if things change, because the further something out is, the more likely it is to change. But we want to start sharing things with you earlier so we can get your feedback and whatnot. But things will change. But the promise for me following up on that is that we're going to communicate better when things do change. So it's not like we're saying, here's the roadmap and it's immutable and this is exactly what we're going to do going forward.
Yeah.
It's, here's the direction we want to move in. Do you guys agree with us? Cool, then we're going to go in that direction. If you don't, then we'll modify from there. So what exactly is changing? With enough preamble, because I can ramble for forever.
Yeah, let's get into the meat.
Okay, so there's not enough content. We have recently reworked our schedule.
Pretty majorly, yeah.
Pretty majorly, with the aim of, currently there are 25 games, or 25 gods in Smite 2.
Yeah.
Our goal is to effectively double that roster by January. So we're hoping to get to around 50 gods by January. And there are a lot of kind of the heavy hitter gods that you've told us should be there from the start on that list, like Ra and Poseidon and Thor and Khepri and yada yada, right? Yeah. And so our entire dev content team has been pivoted to working on gods. A lot of our programming and design teams have been pivoted to working on how do we make this happen. So we're going to be moving a lot faster to get more gods into the game. I want to give the little disclaimer that even though we're being more nimble, we can't just flip on a switch overnight, right? So, and things have to go through the pipe at different phases before we can get them into the game. So this update, there are 2 gods in it. There are Baron Samedi and Yemoja. Yep. So we're going to be showing you those in a minute. And then the next update will also have 2 gods. And then after that update is when you'll start seeing a faster pace of gods coming out.
Yeah.
Once we get to 50 or so, we're probably going to slow back down to like 2 or 3 every 3 weeks. Is kind of a rough cadence for you guys to keep in mind. Just because we'll be at a point where we want to do some gods that are more technically or artistically difficult for us, and we just won't be able to keep moving at that pace.
Yeah.
I would love it if we could just, get all the gods done in 6 months. That'd be great. But that's not feasible once we get through this initial push to 50. So, but our goal is to double the god roster to 50 by January. And January is an important month to us, just kind of as a little bit of context, because we kind of always see January as a new season moment for Smite and Smite 2, and a time when we ship bigger changes to, shake up Conquest and, all that kind of stuff. And there's some other bigger systems that we're kind of planning for January right now that I don't want to talk about yet. We are going to be more open about stuff, but I don't want to go into every detail on this show right now.
Yeah.
And we also have Vegas happening in January, so we're trying to make sure the game is in a really good spot for that. The other note I have on the gods that we have in the game right now is that we have 25 gods in the game right now, but a lot of our data is showing us that you're seeing the same 10 gods in every game, or 12 gods. There's about half of the roster is really being played right now, and that's making the problem of not enough gods feel worse than it even is. So we need to do a better job of balancing and being responsive on balancing, and I'm going to talk more about that in a minute. Okay. There's obviously a lot of other features that we need to get done by January, and I'm not going to go into all those as well right now. We're going to talk more about that stuff later. But I just want to specifically talk about gods because that is a core issue with the community that we are actively working to address. Okay, number 2, there's not enough quality. So we are, in addition to doing all these gods, we're focusing more on the quality of the game. We currently have 3 or 4 programmers, depending on the week, dedicated specifically to improving the core game quality going forward, fixing bugs and core feels issues, not adding new features. We also have a separate engineer who started this week dedicated solely to improving the matchmaking algorithm and whatnot.
Nice.
So we should be seeing matchmaking improvements, not when CA3 launches, which I'm going to talk about that in a second, but during the CA3 update, we should see especially ranked matchmaking updates that take into account SR as a matchmaking factor. The last thing I want to say specifically on quality, and I know it's kind of a light one, but it's hard to go into too much detail in that other than we understand it's an issue and we're fixing it. Specifically on gameplay feels things. There's a lot of kind of these recurring things that we hear from the community about like basic attacks don't feel good, or hitting certain abilities doesn't feel satisfying, right? And we want to hear more of that feedback about what's not good about the core game in your experience. And we would love to get as specific of feedback as we can from you about is this something that you're experiencing only on specific gods? Is this something that you're experiencing more on higher ping or low frame rates? Is this something that you're always experiencing? But it is one of our core goals to make sure that Smite 2 feels like amazing and buttery smooth, and there's nothing that you can look back at and say, this is just worse than Smite 1, right? It has to be better, at least as good, and hopefully better in every way. So please, as much direct like feedback you can give us, like even if it's like it's not playing the just recently we realized it's not playing a certain death animation for minions. Right now, every minion when they die has the same death animation, and there are several different death animations that play in Smite 1, so it makes it more satisfying to kill a wave of minions. And that's not updated in CA3, that's just something we noticed yesterday. Yeah. But like any little observation like that you have of something that like it's just not as good, it doesn't feel as good because of this reason, please tell us. We want to hear that, because we notice a lot of these things, and a lot of them are on our list already, but don't assume that we know everything, because like I believe we will build a better game working together.
Yeah, that's definitely one of those things where you pull from the pros or from the people who have played for 5 years, the type of thing that you might not be able to think of off the top of your head, but you say, I've played on her for 300 hours, and I just know from gut feeling that when I auto attack, something isn't right. And like you might not even be able to fully explain what it is, but just saying, hey, I've played a ton of on horse, something about his auto attack does not feel right, that gives us an area to look. So that's a great area where we lean on y'all, you longtime Smite fans.
Definitely.
Anyway, yeah.
Cool. Point number 3 is that we're not moving fast enough, right? We're going to be moving faster. I think especially in an alpha, it sucks to think that you are going to be playing with the same broken balance and the same bugs for 3 weeks until we can patch again.
Yeah.
So we're currently in the process of we're currently building a new kind of sub team of the team, specifically focused on live patches, and we're expecting that several times a week. I don't want to commit to exactly how much, but several times a week, we're going to be patching the game to fix, to do some changes to balance and to address some bugs.
Yeah.
These updates will not be as large as what we're now calling major updates, which will still happen every 3 weeks. And those are the things that'll have new gods, and they'll have new, new modes when we get to those, big new systems. Because just from a development standpoint, it's better for us to be building those on kind of a separate version of the game, so that kind of like the in development stuff doesn't get into live and break things in live. But we do want to be shipping very regular balance and bug fixes, so people aren't waiting for the game to get better in the same way they have been recently. I'll say some of those will be coming in the form of like server updates, so you won't necessarily need to download anything even to get these, but we are going to communicate better about when these come out and what has been fixed, and hopefully you'll be able to see the game getting better as we address balance and bugs during the course of a major update. Cool. Yeah, we just want to be showing you that we're constantly improving, and that we're moving better. And I think as a very early example of us being willing to move a little bit faster on things and not be stuck in this cadence that we were before, if you're trying to log into Smite 2 right now, you might notice that the servers are down. The servers are down because we are going to be releasing CA3 as soon as this show is over. So we want you guys to start playing now, so we can get feedback now, so we can start making it better now. And if there are things that we need to patch, or if there's bad bugs, or if the balance is bad or something, well, we'll try and get to that tomorrow. And if we don't get to it tomorrow, we'll get to it on Monday, right? Like we're gonna be patching very regularly to address these issues as they come up. So hopefully you guys are excited, and you are going to have fun playing CA3 later today. Okay, last thing from my really overly long preamble. I'm sorry, I'm talking way too long, which is kind of amusing because my next point is that we're not talking to you enough. Sorry, that was totally unplanned. So, in an alpha period like this, it's really important that it's not just enough that we're working on all these things behind the scenes and we're fixing them and we have a plan and yada, yada, yada. We need to be more actively engaged with you, the community, because you're the whole reason why we're making this game. I mean, I enjoy playing Smite myself, but so I'm partially doing it for myself, I guess, but mostly it's for the community, right? So Isaiah and I are going to be starting a new show. So 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I think at 2 p.m. I don't remember what time now. I didn't write it down. I'm sure we'll tweet about it. But Isaiah and I are going to do a show about an hour long, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, specifically just to talk about like community issues, what we're seeing, except for 1 o'clock, says the person in my ear. To take feedback, to address your questions, to talk about major issues in the community, and also to bring on other devs and show and tell the things they're working on, right? So, we've said that we're working on a new Joust map, right? Like, we might have our environment folks on, just show off the current state of it and get your guys' thoughts on, like, hey, are we on the right path, right? A lot of people want to know more about matchmaking. Like, Max will be on one of the shows to talk about matchmaking. Ben, our art director, has said, dude, I'd love to be on a show and show off some of the models that we're working on for the upcoming gods, right? So we just want to be more active and more engaged with you because we're not doing a good enough job right now, right? Like, I think back to the early days of Smite 1 Alpha when, when I was just a player, I didn't work here, right? And I would watch, like, Bart and Kelly, like, stream, and Hi-Rez would, like, walk into the room and, wreak havoc. Hopefully that won't be happening. But regardless, I think that there's something that we're missing about this kind of, like, very regularly connection with the players, just like reading Twitch chat and talking to people. So we're going to be doing that 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I think you named the show Titan Talk. I don't know. We're still working on the name.
That was my pitch for it. Yeah.
But yeah, so that's just part of us being better communicators. And hopefully you'll see us more communicative everywhere. And yeah, we're really excited about the future. Hopefully you guys are excited about it. Just to summarize things that I just talked about, we're going to be trying to ship 50 gods by January, which is twice what we have right now. We're focusing more on quality. We have more developers focused just on fixing the quality and not working on new features, including matchmaking and bugs and whatnot. We're going to be doing more regular updates. So we'll still be doing the major updates every 3 weeks with new gods and whatnot. But then between updates, we'll have very regular patches with balance and bug fixing. And last, we're going to be doing this, not update show, this kind of just like sit and talk with the dev show 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, with myself and Isaiah and guests who are more interesting than me. And that's enough of a preamble because we have a lot of exciting things to talk about before you can play CA3 in just a few minutes here.
Literally today.
Yes.
Yeah.
So thank you very much.
No, that was very good. And yeah, no need to keep going on that. I think he said everything. There's a lot that's been going on. I think I usually don't like to do this, but I feel confident I speak for everybody here at the studio when I say that this week has weighed heavy on our minds and will continue to for a while. But if there's one thing that I know for sure that I still see every day and I still see talking to people in the hallway and everything, it's that we just effing love Smite. I had to stop myself. I almost said a bad word. We love Smite so much. It is incredible. And our primary goal is to just make Smite 2 the best thing that Smite has ever been, and we're going to do that with y'all, and it's going to be incredible. And we're starting right now. What's that?
I just looked at chat, and they said we should name the show Smite 2, which is awful, and we aren't going to do that. But that just made me crack up, so very good.
Mods, put that person in the femur snapper, please. All right, so we have CA3 coming out today because we wanted to move faster, and that was the first step, was to just, who needs next Tuesday? Let's just do it today. So let's talk about some of what y'all can expect literally later today at the end of the show in CA3, starting with some Conquest. So we got AJ back there driving the computer. What's changing in Conquest, AJ?
All right, so first thing we've got in Conquest is updated objective, the Warhorn.
The Warhorn.
So the Warhorn is being updated woohoo the Warhorn, because rip the Warhorn.
Yeah, that's the exciting part.
Warhorn is being updated to have the Totem of Ku.
The Totem.
Instead.
Yes.
Like the Totem. I like
So there's some extra rules here about the Totem. It's stuff that any Smite fan should be familiar with. I'm not going to read over all of it. I think the important note is that additionally, the Totem will also spawn the Warhorn champion minions. So let's look at it. Here's the Totem. It's back. As you attack it, it will fill up. You can see my
It's dropping bones.
It's fill up. Yeah, the bones
are a little excessive right now.
The effects are a little excessive.
We need more bones.
Who doesn't like some excessive boning on your video game?
I ordered my Totem with no bones in it.
Yeah, I think we heard people say that, like, they liked fighting over the Totem in the solo lane from Smite 1, and I think it was a more interesting objective than the Warhorn that we had previously. This is not to say that we are not going to experiment with new things, that we just care about bringing over things from Smite 1. But I think we ran the experiment of the Warhorn, and people said, hey, let's play with the Totem for a while. And if you guys play with the Totem for a patch or two and you don't like it, then we'll try something else, right? That's the point of being in an alpha. This is an experimentative phase of the game.
Yeah, so this is something we know people have been asking for, but also we're making these modular pieces, right, that we can use in the game in a variety of ways. So yeah, expecting some interesting feedback from the solo laners, and the totem being now the way you capture the Warhorn effectively, right? It's not just the totem. You're using a totem style objective to capture the totem, or capture the Warhorn.
Nice.
We've got some jungle buff updates. Let's see. We got all the patch notes here, and we're going to look over it, but I'm not going to read off everything. I know some people on Twitter wish I would read everything. I won't read everything.
Dandy says go to live patch notes on smite2.com/news now.
Yeah. So, and I think this is, another thing that we're doing differently, right? Is that we're just scrolling through the patch notes and talking through them with you guys. This is less of a produced show. Maybe, obviously we still have our amazing production team who's, running the show, but, we're trying to be a little bit less formal than we have been in the past. And we're just like, hey, we're talking through this stuff with you guys. And let's look at it together. Right.
So what this section essentially says is purple buff is now going to be a little bit more of a carry buff. It's getting longer duration for the buff. It's going to no longer do this stacking effect that did big damage to objectives. Instead, going to have lifesteal and then more lifesteal. So it's a little bit more fitting for hunters, carries to pick this up.
Good old
we've got another really big new feature here. So if we're speaking of something new,
yes,
the totem being something from Smite 1, but that's something very
new,
something new.
Borrowed,
base teleporters. So let's just go ahead and take a look at them.
That's not it. That's just backing. We've had that forever.
Yeah, this is how you return to base. But yeah, so you can see, you also get a preview of some of our new player experience features, like telling me how to get to my lane. But here we have base teleport, and look, they let you see windows into the
really
lane.
Cool.
Yeah, these are static images. They don't update dynamically of what's going on in the lane, so it's not a full window into the lane, but it does kind of give you an idea of where you're going to end up.
That's so cool.
And you'll be able to activate these with the interact button. So when you walk into space, see the space bar, press the space bar, and whoo, and this will fly you all the way to your tower, or you can right click to cancel early.
Oh, that's cool.
You want to go to a jungle buff. So these have a long cooldown.
Yes,
very long cooldown.
That is the most important part about this, is that it's not like you can just go back to base and use this to get out every 5 seconds or something, right?
Yeah.
It's not like Arena where you're running back to base all the time to heal, right? This is so far in our internal dev test, there's actually been some really interesting strategy that's popped up about when do you use this, when do you hold this, do you actually use this where you back to base and then you use it to get to a fight that's happening in the other lane rather than running across? There's some interesting things that can happen here, and we're interested to see how it goes. But yeah, sorry, AJ, go for it.
It's got a really long cooldown. Yeah, a really long cooldown, right? So it's effectively more like a teleport relic. It's not like a thing to come back with all the time. And there is a lot of unique strategic choices you can make with it, like being really heads up about what's going on in the map and specifically choosing not to use it so you can save it for a quick back later is probably one of the immediate skill ceiling effects it adds. People who just use it on cooldown, when they get forced back, are then going to be really slow. Whereas if you can really pay attention to what's on the map, notice you're not going to lose any clear, lose any camps, or miss a fight, you can go back from base normally and then use this the next time. If you get poked out, recall, hit that. I've had a lot of fun with it from playing solo lane, recall to mid lane, go up the mid lane portal, boom, I'm in the fight really quick, even though I don't have any sort of teleport effect. So yeah, it's something really interesting and new, and we're excited about it, but of course we'll adjust it as we go.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the big things, right? This is an all new feature. We're excited, but let's see how it goes, right? We want to see how it goes in live, and if the cooldown's too short, if it moves too fast getting out of base.
Currently at 210 seconds, so a relic level cooldown.
Yeah, and if that's still not long enough, we can make it longer, right? Or like I said, if the movement speed of your character while you're teleporting is too fast, we could slow that down, right? There's things that we can do to balance it, but tell us how it feels, right? Because what we've found is, it feels nice to be able to move around the world a little bit quicker sometimes, right? Yeah. It's not like you're always just flying around the map, but it gives you a little bit more mobility around the map, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, pressure on an objective, jumping back to lane, figure out how to use it best, and it'll help you a lot.
So we got a bunch more stuff here. That's going to be a couple of more interesting mechanics and just some balance. So we have some late game comeback mechanics here with fire minions getting you additional gold, and phoenixes. If you successfully defend your phoenix enough for it to respawn, you'll get some gold return. So a lot of people, when they feel like once you've lost one phoenix, the game's just like over.
Yeah.
So we have some late game anti-snowball, which is kind of a unique thing we've never really tried before, and we're excited to see how that feels. It's a pretty common thing to do in MOBAs, by the way, in general.
Yeah.
We have some other just tower adjustments here. So Minotaurs are going to do significantly less damage to towers, so they won't be so if you push one Minotaur into a tower with some minions to defend it, it'll kill the tower or take a significant amount.
Yeah, so. I think those cows were better at pushing towers than some of my teammates, man. Like they just
probably.
It's ridiculous.
And this did come specifically from ambassadors and playtesters. This feedback point. We've adjusted the Titans to properly regenerate their health, just like they did in Smite 1, just as we're rebuilding everything. So some stuff gets prioritized a little bit slower, and so people were calling out that this wasn't the same as Smite 1. Now it's in. We've got some big changes here to the Ancient Fury.
Okay.
This is no longer going to apply to all structures. It will only choose the frontmost structure in each lane. So this objective being just a little bit too all in. Now it's more specifically lets you get that bonus each lane. And it's also, instead of it's going to be completely disabled, they're just going to be heavily weakened. Okay. So yeah, taking quite a bit of like instant game overness out of the Ancient Fury. Still going to be really
good,
meaningful.
Yeah,
but before it was like potentially just way too over the top end game situation, potentially overshadowing Fire Giant. Fire Giant himself removed the protections rewards from the Fire Giant buff. This was just overwhelmingly common pro feedback. This is one of those things where maybe if you're a casual player, like, oh, I get a little bit harder to kill and I deal more damage. That seems fine. But the way the protections work in Smite and granting squishy DPS players any amount of protections is really, really high efficiency for them. So it's just really, really strong.
Yeah.
Essentially makes it impossible to trade against squishy versus squishy when one of them has the Fire Giant buff. So removing that. We have adjusted the kill spree timer, and this will also affect the multi-kill timer, so pentakills will be easier to get now.
And
this is more accurate to match Smite 1.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. Not easier than Smite 1, just easier than it is in Smite 2. Because like
it was too hard. It was harder than intended in Smite 2.
Because like in Smite 1, like there's kind of this muscle memory where you expect like, oh, I should have gotten a double kill there, and you weren't getting it in Smite 2, and now it should match much better.
So then we have we're going to talk about some of the other new player features, but one of them that we just have right here, which you can see.
No, because you did it, so it's done for the opening bit.
No, but there's other versions of this. So they're these. So blue camp, red camp, this stuff. This wasn't here before. You can still turn these on with options, but that stuff wasn't here before.
Yeah, and that was it's a surprisingly useful new player feature in Smite 1. So we're glad we got some of those in there. There's probably some more that we need, but it's a good first step, right? Yeah. And then, do we have a separate section to talk about the pathing out of base for new players? Or I
think so. There's a whole new player section at the bottom.
I'll be quiet then. Thanks.
Arena. So I'm probably not going to load into Arena right now, but just a couple of important things. Color and lighting pass, another iteration in Arena, as we're still trying to get that feel for the whole game, and the Arena is a good place to test that. So I've already heard really good feedback about this from the flash tests, and that it's a continual improvement, and we're still making more improvements. So if this goes well, this will be applied to other maps, and this also affects the way the characters light, the shadows, the reflections, things like that. So it's a big change.
Yeah,
so keep an eye out for it.
And I think we were experimenting to try and get the right level of like Smite 1 is a well lit game that is relatively bright, where you can see what's going on all the time with relatively vibrant colors. But what is the right level of all of those dials for Smite 2? Even if we're at one point we did just copy all those things exactly from Smite 1, it still didn't feel right. So it's like, how do we tweak things and make them all match up? Because the lighting works differently and the materials work differently in UE5. So let us know what you think.
So we're actually fixing a bug where Arena Jungle Buff spawned too late, and we're made some adjustments to the way tickets work to make it more like Smite 1.
Yeah.
All right, now let's get into the core items section of the patch. So we're adding a new consumable, the multi potion. And this will allow you to stack that with the healing potion, so you get two different forms of healing running simultaneously. So this has always been a big, method of outplay potential in the solo lane. You know, really timing those fairly carefully.
Yep.
That's especially in the solo lane, but it can also be effective in early arena and other things like that. So that's exciting.
Nice.
We've also done some health potion and health chalice adjustments. So we call this an adjustment, but it's really a nerf. There's just a very slight buff. It's a much slower regen now, from 10 seconds to 14 seconds. So I guess not much slower. We're not going all the way back to the full 25 seconds, I think it is in Smite 1, which is really slow.
Yeah.
But we like this being a little bit more dynamic and impactful. But just slowing it down a little bit, and in order to get the numbers to even out, you have to pick a round number. You got 210.
Yeah.
Mana regen, it also had a similar adjustment.
Yeah.
And we also fixed an issue where multiple potions applying could create some unintended, you'd actually get more healing than you're supposed to heal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's been fixed.
And play around with it, right? Like as AJ noted, it is still different than Smite 1. We're liking how it feels in our playtests. I think we kind of agreed in our internal playtest too that it was too strong. But we feel like this is a good level now. Again, we can balance everything going forward, right? So let us know what you think.
Yeah, more rapidly too.
Yeah, I was talking to the design team and I said, if there's something really obvious that we talk about today that people don't like, that's a balance number, let's fix it tomorrow, right? Like, that's the attitude. I don't know if we can actually do that. Maybe Monday, but that's the attitude we're coming with.
But not 3 weeks from now.
Yeah,
right. Definitely not 3 weeks or even a week, 2 weeks from now.
Yeah.
Right? All right. So items in general. So one of the first things we're looking at is CDR as a whole. So cooldown rate in Smite is Smite 2 is a little weaker than CDR % in Smite 1. And a lot of people felt like the CDR numbers were just a little bit weak, and CDR items and CDR builds were not doing nearly as well as just full strength into pen builds. So what we've done is we adjusted something on the back end we call the efficiency of a stat. So that means every item with CDR on it is going to get more CDR or cheaper or more of the other stats. In many of the cases, we chose to buff the CDR directly because we want people to feel the impacts of that CDR more because of the CDR rate to % conversion. But there's a couple that were adjusted in other ways. And there was potentially some, due to balance issues, might have needed to become more expensive to balance out their buffs. But I'm not going to read over all these, but you can see this is a full list of all of them. Most of the items are CDR only. Some of these items have additional balance elsewhere, but we listed out everything here in the CDR section anyway.
Ooh, more physical prots on
Breastplate of Valor is one of the ones I wanted to call out specifically. That is going to be higher CDR, higher prots, and cheaper. So they're smaller. It's a bigger CDR buff, but small prots and very small gold change. But that's still a significant amount of item efficiency overall.
Yeah.
Couple notes we had here was Leviathan's Hide, Talisman of Purification, Gem of Focus, Tekko did not receive CDR buffs already because they're already overperforming. In fact, Gem and Tekko are going to get additional nerfs here soon. So, first thing is CDR. Moving into the different categories of items, first off, we got Sunder, or a Sundering Arc is the Smite 2 Sunder. We use the short form terminology. Just talking Sunder. But yeah, pretty big nerf here. Yeah. We had quite a bit of pro level feedback that this was deciding games as a whole, right? Doing 1,000 damage means you're going to outcompete even, full int Kukulkan ultimate will be hard pressed to confirm Sunder. We still think it's a fun relic as a whole, but we're trying to get the right tuning here. So it's going to come down quite a bit. It's now going to cap at 500 damage instead of 1,000 and at level 14 instead of 10. So it's going to be ramping up in damage slower, and it's going to be peaking at a lower peak.
I think it's still good. I think you probably still want one on a team, but I don't think it's going to decide the game in every game anymore, which is really the goal.
Yeah, we've moved it more into it requires that extra skill of knowing exactly when to execute with it compared to just, throw it, you'll get it, don't worry.
Yeah, I love stealing jungle buffs or and sealing objectives and stuff, so as a support, just getting Sunder and going and doing it is always a lot of fun for me. So I think you can still do that. You're not going to do it as well as you used to be able to. It's not going to just be kind of OP, but it should still feel fun.
That's a good point about Sunder. So in addition, we have we had a lot of feedback that thought we kind of overdid it on tank and carry DPS versus protection shifts last patch. So we're kind of reverting a little bit of both of those to kind of walk it back a bit. So we are doing some carry buffs and some tank nerfs to undo those. We don't want to overdo this again, right? So there's very specific ones that we think we have good data and feedback towards increasing. And on the Smite talk show, we might get into more detail of the balance numbers and some things that go into it that we usually don't go into all the detail here. But on Smite 2, we'll have the time to do that. So first up is Kins. This is a pretty important buff. It looks like 1%, right? But that's actually a 25% increase.
That's real good.
Or a 33% off, right, from the 3% up to 4. To help counter tanks and make sure this does, more powerful. We're really trying to make sure the non-crit build path is more viable for carries here. So Bragi's Harp, one of the primary hybrid and just proc damage, is getting us base and scaling. Death Metal is a crit item, but it's also an int scaling hybrid item. This one was just pretty underwhelming in a variety of ways, so it's getting a nice strength buff. And Dagger of Frenzy actually fell off really hard in the stats. It was one of the lowest performing active items in the game. So what we thought would be really fun and we want to test a little bit more is shorter cooldown on active items. So now Dagger has a much shorter cooldown and you can continue to use this more frequently as opposed to having to prioritize. It's going to be weaker than, it was nerfed a patch or two ago. It was really strong for a bit. So it's going to stay in that slightly lower stats, but it's going to be up a lot more often. So you can really make plays with it in a lot more situations.
That sounds fun.
So tank nerfs, Spirit Robe was the obvious standout here. We had tons of pro feedback and ambassador feedback about this, as well as high data. It's just giving an absurd amount of stats.
A little bit good.
So bringing down the prots on the base and the proc. It still doesn't have a cooldown, which it did on Smite 1. So you can, if you're getting CC chained, you're going to continue to get this effect refreshed, which is really nice. So it's a little more consistent. We've had positive responses to that, but the general stat effect was just
too good,
too much,
overwhelming.
Onis was another one that was really overperforming in data and feedback. So we got some cost increase and prot decrease. Eye of Providence, maybe this is a little bit more pro skewed only one. This is really powerful though, that vision, getting those sentry wards on cooldown repeatedly. So just taking the stats down a little bit here. We then have some meta nerfs. So these are just items that are overperforming in general. Staff of Cosmic Horror, pretty much in every int build in the game. You're now going to have to build more int in order to get the passive threshold, and you're just going to get a little bit weaker passive CDR when you do it. This one just really strong on stats. And then Techo and Gem, pretty much some of the most ubiquitous items in the game as well. Potentially even showing up on non-DPS characters and tanks, and even showing up to both items on the same god at the same time. So getting
I build Techo in solo a lot. It's just real good.
It can go.
These items are very strong for sure. So we're getting nerfs there. All right, well, now we have a long list of kind of the underperforming buffs. So for starters, we felt like Warrior's Axe, Sundering Axe were really being outcompeted by Bluestone, even after Bluestone's nerf. So we're getting some base protections and damage proc buffs on the starter, and the protection stats and the heal trigger on the upgrade. Sands of Time, we got increased intelligence and cooldown. So this is a big one here.
That is big, yeah.
Yeah. So this was already a cooldown buff update, right? So we were doing that, and then also trying to just make this compete a little bit more. So now if you're a mid laner or an int, you're going to choose between really the cooldown item or the burst damage item, right? So before the Conduit Gem was just really outperforming.
That's really good for Nuwa.
I put this in the balance section just because it's really impactful on play styles, but it really should be in the bug fix section, which, whatever. But Prophetic Cloak, we did fix that issue where the item would go on cooldown even when you were getting a trigger for a stack that was already completed, so you wouldn't actually get a stack. It would go on cooldown. If you have 15 Fizz stacks and 10 magical and you get a Fizz hit, it would go on cooldown and you would get nothing. So that's been fixed. We got a slight buff on Shoguns for the protections. Eye of the Storm, which was the new item, not really new, reworked item from last update, was just way too much being sacrificed for the effect. So we're getting just a kind of omni buff on this one, all across the board. HP, protections, and the self-damage a little bit less. So really exciting to see if we see more of this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a fun one.
Pridwin, cost decrease. This was another ambassadors and pros level feedback change. This was prohibitively expensive, really blocking it out from supports.
Yeah.
So the cost change actually helps a lot. We had also, we changed this from the alt trigger to an active trigger, which gives you a lot more control over it. So we weren't sure exactly how powerful that would be. A Bracer of the Abyss. an item that has had a hard time finding a home. So just getting some more buffs to it, increased intelligence, increased max stacks, so you can get more basic attack damage, and increase the buff duration, so it's easier to get those stacks up.
Yeah.
Yogis, increased mana and health regen. This is continuing to be like, we know it's not the most exciting item, but theoretically a bunch of regen is really strong. So this might be a rework candidate in the future. Maybe not, but for now we just keep pushing it. Let's see if we can find a place where it's really good. Golden Blade is getting a shift to increase the base damage on the proc and slightly decrease the protection. So it's a pretty positive shift.
Yeah.
Make it much more useful to rush early game and still have some late game scaling. So we didn't really like how Smite 1's Golden Blade was kind of like ditch it after a while.
Yeah.
But we wanted this to still have that meaningful impact it could have on solo and jungle if you buy it, if you rush it. Gladiator Shield, pretty big shift here from overall changing its stats. It's no longer going to provide strength, and instead just going to be protections and CDR item, but that protections is going to feed into its passive, right, and give you more damage anyway.
Yeah, that's more like Smite 1, right?
Right,
Yeah.
Exactly. Soul Gem, buff in cost and passive scaling. Typhon's getting a little bit of a rework here now. It's actually going to be an int and lifesteal item now.
Whoa.
No longer just lifesteal with nothing else. It's now...
And mages really needed a good lifesteal option to fit in their build. So I think that this should be really good for the mages out there.
Yes.
Anubis player
Or
rejoice.
we don't say mages anymore, do we? For the mids out there. For the mids.
For the mids.
Yeah.
We could, it's okay to be conversationally.
Conversationally, I can say mids.
Genji's Guard also
We're all
getting a
friends
stat shift in that it's going to now have mana and mana regen in addition to its other stats, and an Oathsworn Spear cost reduction. So
Nice. Lot of
that's
good
it for
stuff.
items.
Sweet. Gods?
A lot of items, a lot of it driven by the feedback and data.
Thank you, ambassadors and community at large.
Definitely.
But now we got gods, and we have 2 new gods, which I'm really excited for. One of my favorites of all time coming in here. So let's move over to
I
that.
wonder if this Conquest match is going to end. The unfortunate thing about this is just doing the debug and changing bots general.
You've switched to us now just in case, because we operate in dev for this, because like I said, we're being open with y'all, and we operate in dev, which has the one notable downside of there being super spoilery stuff in
Yeah,
there.
so I think we're actually in PTS.
We're in PTS.
Oh, we are?
Because, yeah, we're in...
I lied to y'all.
Yeah, normally we're in dev, but the dev build today was a little broken, so we're in PTS.
Yeah, and so I have to do things a little bit slower using this debug HUD.
But 2 gods we're looking forward to. So Yemoja and Baron,
Yeah.
I think y'all know already because we've all the teasers. We got to bring back the fun water teaser. Tweeted some brew jokes earlier. Super
stream was
excited.
so fun.
That stream
I
was so
enjoyed that.
fun. We thought
Back in
about
the
running
day.
it back.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, dude, we put way too much effort into running that stream back in the day. Like, I think Isaiah was up for 24 hours straight, guarding a glass of water. And I think Pecky's was also running the stream, and
Yeah.
he was playing RuneScape or something the whole time. Like, I don't remember.
It's so relatable.
Yeah, good old times. But that was fun.
Yeah, the dev build isn't really broken. It's just
Yeah.
constantly being changed,
Yes.
updated. Right?
Yeah.
So there's
I'm not trying to over exaggerate. Just it wasn't good to show today.
okay. Chat's calling us out for having a broken dev build, which is just understanding that.
that's right, because
Welcome to game
a
development.
working live build in a matter of minutes. Well, not exactly. Whenever
but doing the quick Baron kind of ability demo.
Are we are you in? Are we ready? Oh, dude,
I'm
let's do
showing it already.
Oh, run it back. We hadn't switched over yet. I don't think. Hit us
Oh.
with that ability demo.
Isn't that TV is what they have on live too?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they just hadn't switched over to it yet. But
Oh.
you can see it now. Yeah.
Yeah, we're good now. When we came in, you were ulting, and I was awestruck.
Oh, okay.
Oh, he looks so pretty in this game.
So yeah, I think that by and large, this should resemble the Baron that you know and love, but just better.
Oh,
right?
so
Yeah,
much
there's
better.
a few.
I love the effects
Yeah.
on this version of Baron, by
Not
the way.
only that, but that I've been sneaking through dev, trying out new stuff, and I'm not going to talk about. I'm going to let the experts talk about it. But the changes to Baron are incredibly fun, and I am so excited. I'm excited that we get to play them in live today.
He's one of my most played characters in Spider 1.
Same, and
And he's also one of the most popular characters.
I saw a lot of people saying, "Oh, all 3 of Baron fans will be excited," and I'm just like, "What world are you living in?" Baron has
know.
been one of the most popular, of the new generation Smite gods, season 5 and beyond.
Yeah.
He's probably the single most popular one.
my brother
and
has
of
been
the last
looking
5 years.
forward to this. I was like, listen, man, Baron is on the way when the tweet went live, and he was like, thank you.
And he's got he's viable in 2 lanes in Conquest.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, so let's talk about some of his new
go for
features.
it.
That's going to include that. Thank you.
Yeah,
Alex.
his new features are great.
Baron's Brew is now a 1 stack instead of having multiple charges, but it's more potent healing and regeneration. And when it's consumed, you can, as we're being cheeky here, share the last drop with enemies, but you're getting an active attack that throws the bottle at them, dealing a area effect explosion and applying hysteria. And one of the coolest things about this is that your allies can really help the Baron player by stacking up a lot of hysteria really fast on the target.
So cool.
Which is cool because normally a Baron has to do that on his own.
Yes.
Yeah.
So hysteria, we're gonna do a shift here, as Alex mentioned, towards making him fit better in roles. He's no longer gonna do a lot of bonus damage on hysteria. That's just going to be more balanced across the kit as a whole.
Yeah.
And hysteria is going to do, it's going to cause targets at max hysteria to deal less damage, and it's going to turn on some of those bonus effects.
Cool bonus.
So this shift better supports his playstyle, letting him actually be high scaling for a mage mid playstyle.
Yeah.
Even though, as we know in Smite 1, he was generally a better bruiser tank solo or support than he was a mid laner. But we want to try to make sure that he's good at both in Smite 2.
He can do it both.
So some of the new things other way across his kit is new protection scaling on Vivid Gaze's debuff. So if you build full tank, your Vivid Gaze power and attack speed reduction debuff is going to be more intense.
Yeah.
So you can really be like a debuffing tank Baron. Consigned Spirits now has cooldown rate scaring. As you buy more cooldown rate, the missing health is going to be more potent. So his heal gets better off of how much CDR you build.
which is kind of neat.
Yeah.
Something we would never have been able to do in Smite 1. Like that would take us, like a month to build out the tech to do
You have to
that in Smite
rework
1.
the system. And
So Wrap It Up has had a bit more rework. So now when Wrap It Up hits a god above the hysteria threshold, the snake will explode 1.75 seconds later,
so
immediately dealing damage and mesmerizing enemies. So it had kind of a difficult to understand and visualize kind of chain mechanic with timers and individual stuff in Smite 1. So this is a very similar effect, but with a little bit better clarity.
Yeah.
And more mostly it's a clarity adjustment.
Yes.
So you'll really be able to tell more clearly, watch out when this detonates, you're going to get hit. If you don't, get out of the way. And Life of the Party now has protection scaling on dealing damage. So like full tank Baron will now be able to have stronger coffin hits and stronger debuffs, and potentially if you're full tank, you're probably building some CDR too, stronger healing. And Baron by default is just going to have better damage and scaling in the kit because you won't have to build up hysteria. So makes him a better mid and makes him a better support or solo.
Nice.
Then we have the rest of the full gameplay text here, but nothing else really to call out specifically.
The
Anything you wanna see
hysteria
again?
bonus effects are the same from Smite 1? I thought we changed some of those, or are they?
I think they are the same,
okay.
or I trust my team would have put them on the patch notes, but
Probably, yes. It's okay. Sorry, we don't have to go through it all. If you're mega Baron main, please take a look.
Let's
But yeah,
take a look at some of his other features here too. So one thing to note is the hysteria meter building up below the god's health. Oh, we went away
Yeah.
from
yeah,
it.
we're
Go back.
going back. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a meter underneath the god's health bar that only Baron sees that lets you build up hysteria. You can see it turns purple when they're hysterical,
that's so cool.
and then gold when they're at max.
And the little dancing skull.
They want to see the jump. Is that his in-combat jump? And there's his out-of-combat jump. I know this is the one. This
Yeah,
is
that's
what
what they want to see.
They wanted
Yep.
to spin.
This is what they
Still
want to
there.
see. Yes,
Yeah.
it does look good.
I guess they're not getting in-game sound. I don't know if production can fix that while we're playing, but if not, sorry. You can log in and listen to
I
it.
did
and
test
record
that
it.
before. The game is set to have sound, but I'm not hearing it either, so I'm not sure what to do. Sorry.
Okay. All right. But it seems like it might be a computer issue. So we're sorry. But we will try and get that fixed for the next stream we
Yeah,
do.
we couldn't give it all to you right now. We wanted some mystery for y'all to embrace.
Of course, Baron's audio design is super fun, though. So there's the detonating warm-up
So
area on the
cool
snake.
looking.
It's a
I keep
lot.
forgetting I don't have cooldown sheets on.
It's a lot easier to read what's going on with the two in combat than it is in Smite 1.
Yeah.
The other thing chat's asking for, I don't know if because you changed character, I don't know if Baron's Brew is in the shop, but would it be possible to show like what it looks like to throw that?
Oh yeah, I did switch class cheat though, so
Oh, it's there.
it's there.
Hey, look.
Hey, how intuitive.
So we get to drink it, and now you see the icon changed, and now you can
Throw it. That's so great.
Kind of neat.
Yeah. It's more Baron per your Baron.
Yeah, and then even though you throw it, it refills when you go back to base.
Yeah.
So he's had some ability icons adjusted, card art adjusted, full card art is in the game. I'm not sure what else to add.
I think that's it.
Particle effects update looks really nice.
I especially love like the two, the healing, like that little swirl, like just looks really nice. And I think like for people that have been here since the start of Smite 2, I think you can also see with this most recent set of gods, especially like how we're pushing the FX to still feel more like they still feel Smite 2-y, but they're a lot more readable than some of the early effects that we were doing, So I think we've kind of found the right space, I think, for making effects feel awesome, and the team's killing it, and also making it really readable.
A few more things people noticed is that the AO3 does deal damage to minions now on pass-through. It's a relatively small amount, but it does do damage.
Yeah.
One thing I also wanted to call out is that we saw a lot of feedback about Baron in discussion, and people saying that if there was a god to not change at all, this was the god, right? People didn't want kit changes on this.
Perfect.
So we didn't change him too heavily. A lot of the changes we talked through were pretty exciting, but they're very stat scaling, roll flexing stuff. We didn't really change any ability really heavily. That was very intentional because people were being so positive about this kit and didn't want it changed. I also want to mention, though, that every god coming forward still will have like new features on the god, and that is something we're working into. Even at the accelerated pace, all of those gods are still going to have new features added to the kit. So,
and another thing worth mentioning, even though we're moving at a faster pace on the gods, because the ambassadors asked me this is the only reason why I'm bringing it up.
Yeah.
We will still be doing the ascension passes for all the gods as well at the time they release. Even
and we could show Baron and Yemoja's ascension pass after we demo the two gods.
Yeah.
But.
But
Cool.
overall, beautiful. I love the colors. I love this god. I am so excited to play this later today. So thank you. And now we're on to Yemoja.
Yeah, so the next god is Yemoja. Production, if you want to keep it on the screen while I switch in game, but we can just talk about some of the new features on Yemoja.
Let's do it.
Yemoja is a interesting character, right? A challenging character.
For sure.
Very high skill ceiling. She is a true backline support, though, which is one thing we've wanted, right? We don't have... Most of the Guardians supports in Smite 2 are very aggressive.
Very front line dive heavy.
And part of the reason why is that like a lot of the very early gods we prioritize for Smite 2 are the most played gods in Smite 1.
Yeah.
Right. Like a lot of people don't know this, but Nuwa is actually the most played god in Smite 1. She is more popular than Neith over the last 90 days. So that's one of the reasons why we prioritized her for the last update. And a lot of the most popular guardians tended to be some of the more aggressive ones. But that didn't do a good job of having a full diversity of roles, which is why I'm really glad that we have Yemoja in. And as I teased earlier, one of the gods on our push here is Khepri, who obviously supplies that similar kind of like more defensive true guardian kind of thing.
Yeah. Also, wonderful skill expression with that ult. Just a lot of fun playable mechanics that we get to have brought in. So.
Yeah, sorry. Anyway, back to Yemoja. Sorry, I'm not trying to
distract
this. I apologize.
Features on Yemoja. All of Yemoja's water-based attacks and abilities can hit allied gods to provide them with healing buff, Omi healing. All of her attacks and abilities.
All of them.
All of them. Hitting an ally with Moonstrike replaces Omi healing with a new buff providing basic attack damage and attack speed.
Ooh.
And allies inside River's Rebuke gain both buff effects. So she's got a lot more buffing built into the kit, right? Using River's Rebuke provides half of missing Omi immediately. So in Smite 1, this was a faster regeneration, but now you just get it up front.
Yep.
Yeah.
During the regeneration, duration of this buff is decreased based on the amount instantly restored. Oh, it's got both. Excuse me. You get half of it immediately, and you still have a regeneration buff. But depending on how much you restore, you'll get a weaker regeneration buff. This kit has a lot going on to it.
It does. She has a very complex kit.
So let's look at a couple things, right? The bubble, I think the targeters and the visual effects are a really big upgrade here. Like the liquid.
The water.
Yeah, look at how splashy it looks.
Dude, those little like particles that come off of the center light strike. Like, oh my god, it looks so good. Like those are nice. Yeah.
I just love how bouncy the water.
I'll need to make
is.
allies. The targeter clarity on this I really love.
Oh, that's
Arrow
nice. Yeah.
shifting. I mean, we have a lot of similar stuff in Smite 1, but this is a little bit more intense, which is really nice.
Now my teammates in Arena will know even better when they're going to troll me and keep me from getting back to enemies.
Yeah, this ability is crazy, right?
Wee.
Let's see. I would need to spawn allies to do the 2, but its 2 is looking nice. All right, then we have
The 2 looks more like a wave than in Smite 1, which is nice.
Yeah.
and then we have the ultimate.
Yeah,
that's so
water
pleasing.
looks real nice.
Oh man, the water effects are gorgeous.
So the semi-permeable wall, which is always some crazy fun tech to work on.
Yeah.
I mean, by that I mean challenging to work on.
And you know, I don't want to overpromise anything, but for those of you that have played a lot of Smite 1, you know that Yemoja's mana bar just somehow manages to screw up your mana bars for like several games following, where like on the, you know, on your teammates, it's like for some reason everybody has Yemoja mana for this game.
Yeah, that's weird.
So far we haven't been having that issue in Smite 2 because things are built better. So just hopefully we don't see that in live when we put this out. But I'm just you know, it's another nice benefit of you know, we have this God in Smite 2 now. And it doesn't have the same
having built it fresh from the ground up with a knowledge of 10 years of work. So
Right, so we're working fast on a lot of gods in the background, but these are the 2 that we have for this update.
Oh, can you, when you put the ring down, can we just look at both sides of it too? Just
this part?
Yeah, just so I think
it blows bubbles.
yeah, I think it looks more visibly different, like so you can see what side you're on a little bit better than Smite 1. And there's also like the ground targeter, I think also is a little bit more visible than in Smite 1. So
Yeah, it shows you which side you should funnel into and which side you will be shot out of.
Yeah, our team in general, killing it. They're amazing.
Yeah.
But just really great work on
The
it.
clarity. And as always, looking forward to the future of skins for this god, because Yemoja's ult has always been really, really entertaining to see take different forms.
Does still stun towers, yes.
Yes.
There you go. Super beautiful work. And as always, a big ups to the team for getting all the tech for, because this is a relatively complex character in comparison. Like different mana bar, the healing mechanics. So props to them for bringing Yemoja in and providing some more variety in the support role.
All right.
Yeah, inspiring to watch. All right, well, cool. So those are the 2 new gods that you can look forward to literally today. I keep having to remember to say that. It is exciting, and I'm going to be playing Baron all night tonight. Anyway, we're on to balance now.
All right, I'm going to go through these relatively quickly.
Let's do it.
They're
They're on the
items.
patch.
Feel free to just talk over me or whatever as we go, but I'll keep
for it.
going.
Go
So
for it.
Hecate nerf on the ultimate cooldown. This is a game-changing team fight altering cooldown. Like you can deny whole Phoenix defenses, whole fire giant kills with this ultimate.
Yep.
So it's going to get a longer cooldown in an early game and scale back to the same in the late game. So you'll have to keep that zoning that Hecate out, but she won't be able to just deny you the whole game.
Yeah.
Fenrir, we've just been seeing consistently overperform. I will say, before I get into all these characters, we did really try to focus in on what are the gods that are overperforming right now in the data and the feedback and really hit them hard, and who's underperforming and really bring them up hard. Like Alex mentioned, we really want to see some shifts in what's popular and what's being played right now. So
God diversity per game.
Yeah, we have 25 gods. We want to see all 25 gods being played.
And if any of these are not enough or too much, we're gonna make changes more immediately.
Rapid.
So Fenrir nerf fixed an issue where it's providing more lifesteal as intended. I don't know exactly how much that is, so that could be really big, a big nerf. And also just a pretty solid brutalized damage nerf and decrease nerf when you're max.
The brutalized one shots were just too much.
Brutal.
And this
brutal.
These numbers are multiplied by 4 for the hits, so it's relatively big nerfs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nuwa still was super highly performing, so we are going to be decreasing the penetration she gets from the strength of Earth, which is very powerful stat, and decreasing the minion explosion damage even further, so it's going to be a little bit less scaling than the projectile.
Fair and valid.
Amaterasu was specifically doing very well with buying tons of int and making those buffs insane.
I think she was the most broken character in the last patch when she built int.
The int bruiser Amaterasu might have been the highest winningest god in the whole patch. That's correct.
Chad is calling you a traitor for nerfing Amma, by the way. So
just doing my job. Just doing my job.
Fair.
Can't play favorites when you're working on the balance team. Although the community has always felt that we do play favorites.
Yeah, we really don't.
Jingwei
Persistent Gust decreased the base damage from this one. I saw some discussion about this one. So Jingwei is really strong, and we gave a lot of her strength in her new explosive bolts.
Yeah.
So people expect us to nerf explosive bolts, but Jingwei is really a basic attack character, and we like her strength lying there. Persistent Gust, though, is actually a lot of damage, and we made it a lot more generous to hit in Smite 2, where minions who walk into it late will still get the full damage. So pretty big nerfs here to Persistent Gust. Might she need more? Maybe. She's still been very good, but, we're on it. Bacchus, additional damage scaling nerfs from protections. We like the idea of doing a little bit rarely some bonus damage from protections. We can clearly see now why it's risky.
Yes.
When it's too high, you are just tanky and killing everybody.
Dude, those bonks were a lot of bonks.
Yeah, so this is another big nerf.
Bacchus
and then we're also just seeing an additional nerf in the Belch of the Gods damage per tick, just to he's like, top clear, top her 1v1 potential tank. So just bringing that down. So now we're moving on to buffs. So big buff for on her, reverting his enfeeble rules back to Smite 1. So you now get the full protection shred on a single hit. That's a really big buff.
Yes.
That's gonna hit hard. Bologna buffs, we got increased base attack speed, which I believe is closer to what is in Smite 1. And also going to do increased Scourge damage and decreased cooldown. So really kind of giving her... this is a general buff, but in a way that kind of pushes her a little bit more towards basic attack warrior. She's always been like very flexible. She could be built
for sure.
either way. But there was a while where like carry Bologna was a thing and stuff like that. And if you want to build this way in or hybridize into that a little bit more in the solo lane, we're doing this here.
And now that Kins is better.
Yeah, right?
We are back, baby.
Athena, one of the lowest performing tanks in the game. So
I think she was the lowest win rate god last patch.
Yeah, maybe in the whole game. So
Yeah,
some pretty big increase the protection scalings buff on preemptive strike. So this is going to be much more effective.
Yeah, for sure.
And we also, shield wall will now also slow enemies on either hit, the initial or the detonate.
Seems good.
Yeah. And we are also bringing back the movement speed to the Defender of Olympus target.
That's good.
So
Yeah.
this was in
Very
Smite 1. Something like this was in Smite 1. So both of those things coming back. She's not sacrificing anything, just giving it all to our favorite goddess of wisdom.
All for you, Athena.
We heard a
Anubis.
lot of feedback that Anubis was just not good and was not seeing much play, and he was being reflected in the data. He could still pub stomp no matter what. Goobus is Goobus, but we want to actually see if we can get him to a spot where he could be more valuable at higher skill levels. So
Deservedly so.
the passive, it's a little bit challenging to explain, but I'll just give you the short of it, which is now he gets magical protections at all the times. He doesn't have to gain any stacks. He just gets a flat amount of protections and lifesteal even when he's at full health. And effectively what we're doing now is making that effect ramp up as he loses health. So you start with protections and lifesteal, and as you lose health, you're going to gain protections and lifesteal. So you're going to start at 6% lifesteal and go up to 24. And then this is a base plus per level calculation for... Wait, is it per level? Why did I write it like this?
Yeah.
You're going to start with something like 10 to 30 protections just all the time. And as you lose health, you're going to go up to 20 to 60 protections.
Do we think that maybe this helps him flex
So
more
this
into
is 10 to
support
20,
too?
60.
Or
Yeah, it's a per level. So at level 1, you'll go from 10 and that'll get doubled as you lose stacks. And at level 20, you'll start at 30 and then it goes up to 60.
because he's got the mummify, the circle slows you, maybe support. Maybe.
I don't know if I'd say support, but maybe
Kill secure.
solo bruiser
Okay, I got it.
Hades
All right.
or Baron have been played.
Yeah,
solo.
that's probably a better
This
call.
is the kill secure support.
This is why I'm not a high level player.
He maybe needs a little more
though I've
CC
played
before he can
thousands of
play
hours.
support. But yeah, maybe.
with
So
gold.
Plague of Locusts decreases self slow. I saw a lot of people misinterpreting this, thinking he was slower in Smite 1 than he was in Smite 2, slower in Smite 2 than Smite 1. That's not true. It was just worded differently. But either way, we're making him faster because that's just sweet.
That's so cool.
So now by rank 5, he will be barely slowed at
He'll
all.
be zooming.
Yeah. Shot down my idea of a 200% movement.
And then
speed
just
buff.
bonus damage on Grasping Hands and the ultimate. These were both just a little underwhelming. Death Gaze. It's if there's anything that's supposed to kill fast, it's this
It's
ability.
a
Yeah.
death case.
Yeah.
It was not melting enough.
Yeah.
Zeus. This is a really interesting buff to Zeus here. That's going to help him clear the wave a lot more, because that's the main complaint we hear about, is that his lane clear is not good enough. He can't play mid lane without better lane clear. So now minions and jungle camps will skip right to 3 full charges when they take any damage from Zeus that applies charges. So you can chain lightning, detonate, and you'll just triple hit the whole wave.
Boom.
So like most other mids can clear the whole wave into abilities, so can Zeus now. You can save that 2 for other, or you can use the 2 and then the 3 combo. Either way, it's like a really cool change, and it's going to make him a lot better in mid. And because we generally don't like the shield ability and don't want to revert to that, and I know like we've said we're going to try to avoid any further reworks, but like this one when Zeus's shield is removed, he has so much more potential to have buffs in a lot of cool ways that actually let him be a flex ADC, let him actually be a better mage, and give him just more counterplay, because the shield
so hard to balance.
Unmissable shield chain lightning combo is just boring. So.
Yes. And easy. Let us cook a little bit on this. I think this is a really cool buff, and let's see where we go. Right? We're always willing to listen to the community, but I think that for the long-term health of the game, it is much healthier if we don't bring back shield 8-mile range Zeus. So.
Yeah,
there is still people in chat saying just bring back shield, and we're trying to listen as much as we can, but
make this version viable in the.
Let us try this one, please, community. Let us try this one.
Well, we're gonna try. This one's going out today. Yeah. There's no change,
and we'll make him viable in the jungle, and it'll be awesome.
But yeah, it could also make him better in jungle too.
Yep.
And then finally, Morrigan had also really poor stats, and we're mostly focusing around her into scaling, making her able to, get to the proper level of burst she needs to. So
yeah, and I think figuring out exactly the right scalings for gods has been one of the challenges of our new system, right? Because we're still finding the right levels for people. So I think,
and I would say that as far as we move into our live balance, we'll expect to see a lot more changes in this type of stuff, right? Yeah, scaling, tuning. Potentially any gods that we've been seeing, potentially tanks with too strong early base damage, or DPS gods with too strong one-shot potential in the late game. We're going to be looking around to clean some of those up. Morrigan wasn't really one-shotting anybody, and she kind of needs to sometimes, so she's getting a little bit more here. But that's it for the general god balance sections.
Good stuff. And next we have general gameplay, so that's kind of going over some of the.
Let's
because we're on PTS, we don't need to go away because we can't spoil gods.
Yeah, I think it's safe actually.
Okay, hey, we're safe. Look at this. We were very concerned about spoiling a few things, and
productions over there got their finger on the kill switch.
So I guess we can show the card art here for.
We got new card art.
We don't. This is on the patch notes. Someone kicked me out. Maybe they shipped an update or something right now.
Dude, we're updating so fast. It's insane.
Kabir might have turned the live server on, because then that would be pointing to live and not to.
Okay, well then we'll have to go back to dev, and production have to go back.
Or
to
we could
scared.
Go into live maybe. But
is live out?
If live is live,
I said he was going to turn it on.
I have to download it
at some point.
I have to download it right now on this computer.
Dude, do we want to hang out and watch the loading bar?
Yeah, so because we were on PTS,
let's look at the patch notes though. We'll go back to look at the Ascension passes at the end and the god art.
But
some of the stuff we're going to talk about
live is probably live because that just broke. So if anybody just wants to go play, our feelings are not hurt. Feel free to go play. If you want to leave us on in the background to listen to us, we'll keep talking about everything. There's actually a lot of really interesting NPE stuff that we have in here that I'm excited to talk about.
We have some cool stuff in this last.
But yeah, if you guys just want to go play, no hard feelings, have fun with the game. Let us know what you think.
So this is some important stuff here too. So. Updated damage number, animation, and style to be more like Smite 1. We had kind of the bouncy numbers. That's what a lot of other games do right now. There was some good chance to try that, but now we're going to get the more straight up and scattered like we did in Smite 1.
Familiar.
Pause feature is
pause,
and it's a vote. It's a vote to pause. And it's got. I'm not going to get into all the numbers here right now, but you have to vote to pause, and then it'll display an exact timer for the length of the pause, and then you can vote to end it early.
It had a really funny bug a while ago that was awesome.
And I think this is not just huge for everybody playing the game, but especially for esports, right? I think that this is one of those things that we really wanted to get into the last update, but it just wasn't quite working right. So I'm really glad that we were able to get into this one. We do have a special flag on it, so if it does start breaking stuff, we can turn it off. And then hopefully fix it before the next update because we're going to be patching.
It's a risky mechanic in the way that it can interrupt.
Yeah, because
core game rule
wasn't last patch. There was an issue where the game could get into a state where it was paused and there was no way to end the pause. So that was it. The game was just paused forever. So we were like, that's not right. Well, we'll give it a minute. We'll cook on that a little more.
Yep. So
funny.
another big feature this patch is end of match lobby stats. You'll now be able to, at the end of match lobby, click over and see your player damage, minion damage, structure damage, all the stuff you're used to in Smite 1. I would say right now that currently the stats that are displayed are very similar to Smite 1, but we do want to add additional stats in the future. This is something we're definitely excited about, but had to get the groundwork in there first. So that's
V1.
Accolades. So accolades have been adjusted to be more like Smite 1. Some of the important notes here that kills are displayed separately from accolades. So that allows you to do some different visual presentations. So allies and enemies will see the simple text form accolade. So if Dandy gets a pentakill, I'll just see Dandy got a pentakill, as opposed to the full animated pentakill art.
Yeah.
I have to get the pentakill to see that.
Yeah, it's more of like a reward for you for doing the thing than meant to communicate what has happened. So
this is also what we use in Smite 1, and this makes generally the game less noisy and makes certain things stand out more. It's also, because we added this sort of like simpler text form accolade, use that to bring back a variety of warning messages that are in Smite 1. There's like, you know, like your tower's under attack and stuff like that. There's a long list of them. I don't have it on hand, but we added back all the warnings that were in Smite 1.
Cool. Now we're on to God Mastery badges.
So Smite 1 God Mastery badges will now be awarded in Smite 2. This is a really cool feature that we talked about earlier. Please let us know if there's any linking challenges. There's always some challenges. People maybe aren't linked the proper way they thought, or maybe there's something on our end. So let us know if these go through. But what you should be able to see is if you're linked to the Divine Legacy, you can go to any god in Smite 2, go to their loadout, go to their badges, and look for one that looks like the Mastery Roman numeral. Like
looks like
Smite 1.
it looks like the 1 or whatever. Just
I think it'll update to what rank.
Oh, does it automatically? That's cool.
I'm not sure though.
I thought it only did it like once you equipped it.
When you equip that and then play in game. So if you're one of the 100-star Hades player, you can equip this badge in Smite 2, and when you play Smite 2 Hades, you'll have that 100 stars, and this is a badge that has the star feature on top of it.
Yes,
so you can use your
cool.
other badges, but then you can also show off your mastery level and star count.
And this was one of the things that we said when we first announced Divine Legacy that we really wanted to do, because we wanted to respect the mastery progress that you made in Smite 1, even though you are starting over in Smite 2, right? So we wanted you to be able to show that off, and I'm glad that we got that in and it's working now. So excited about that.
Cannot wait for the mental crit that is the 80-star Loki loading into my lobby. I'm sure that won't scare me in forever.
He'll be physically critting you as well.
Yes.
Item store so now has a grid view for consumables, starters, and relics, right? So if you click one consumable on the right side, instead of seeing a tree or seeing just one, you'll see all of those things. So you can just buy any numbers of them from that one section.
Nice.
We've also added support for right-clicking to purchase and sell items if you want to. that wasn't really something that was in Smite 1, but it's a common thing in other MOBAs and other games. So people who aren't used to Smite will now have this option, and it is like it's nice. You can get used to it and use it more, even if you're very habitually trained not to. And this is now single filter by default. So when you click filters, they will no longer stack. They will change. So when I go from cooldown to strength, it will deselect cooldown and reselect strength, as opposed to double selecting them, which made it hard to switch categories. You had to go back and clear. We do want to in the future re-add the tech to have a specific function click or something that lets you stack filters, but for now, to make this a lot more navigable, this is what we're doing.
And like there's I believe in Smite 1 there's like a special extra little like tick that you click. Oh, it's going to play the tutorial stuff. So
does Big Mac Boy have live data?
Maybe not. But
we'll find out.
It will definitely. So it's going to autoplay the tutorial stuff when you boot in. So it's
a
not going to be loud.
People are asking about that actually, though. So I can go ahead.
Let's do it.
Yeah, but it won't have the audio.
This is probably the first time this account has ever logged in.
Yeah, we'll give it a minute.
So some other general updates: player levels will no longer be updated in real time on the scorecard. This was mostly a pro concern, because you could use the tab screen to essentially cheat and kind of figure out where people are and what they're doing. That's removed.
Makes sense.
You can. Wait, did I already say that?
That one. We're on combat log.
Yeah. The combat log T-screen has had, I didn't want to get into too much detail here. There's still some work in progress, but it has had further art and design updates.
And it's going to keep getting better. This is, still a work in progress screen.
V2, more to come.
Purchase complete.
Okay.
All right. Well, Big Mac Boy is in the game.
Big Mac Boy is in.
So let's see a few more general updates. Custom games now let you pick Conquest picks and bans. You'll do that through the map mode. So where it says Conquest, you click that and change it to Conquest picks and bans.
So you can now do like a ranked style Conquest pick and ban just with the normal custom game. You don't need to especially for teams that are trying to scrim for esports and stuff. This is very big.
Yeah.
Then also interact, the entire interact feature. We now have a feature where the jump action is briefly blocked after touching any interact area. So no more accidental jumps if you didn't get the interact off.
It's one of those things that sounds small, but makes a huge feels difference to the annoyances of playing the game.
Yeah, the amount of arena situations where you jump because you thought you were about to get a bouquet and somebody sweeps in and takes it, and you're just like,
All right, so now we're back to this screen like we talked about before, but as you'll see, we have updated card art for Ares, Athena, Baron, Bellona, Fenrir, Hades, Hecate. We said we wouldn't get them all. This isn't all of them, but there's a huge pass of them. So Hecate has brand new card art, fully illustrated, which is really cool. The Odin one is another one that I think is pretty meaningful. If you look at this side by side from Smite 1 Odin, it's very I don't know what to say. Blurry, stylized. You can't really see his facial features that much. So this is brand new. But yeah,
He looks like a robot in Smite 1. I don't know
a little
why,
bit,
but
maybe it's the monocle.
Yeah.
The way they chose to do that. But he looks a lot more human. But yeah, a new card art for all of
Mordred's
these
looking
gods.
pretty good.
Yeah.
Mordred got his scary face. And
But
you can see there's still a few, Honor, Anubis, Kurnos, Chalk that are still using the old system. Those are going to come soon. So they're in progress.
Just while we're on this screen,
so pretty.
I'm going to jump forward a little bit just for one new player feature that's here. Is that you'll see this great for new players tag, which is currently just on 5 gods that we think are good for new players. We'll roll that out to more gods over time, but just giving new people an idea of who you maybe want to play. So we have 1 god for each role that's tagged with this right now, and we'll probably expand it over time. But just another thing to help you get started in the game.
Yeah.
Yes, Hades did get his binet. We talked about that last
Yeah, that's true.
Even in the art.
We got some updated item icons, and we got an updated Voodoo Pantheon icon.
Yeah, it's not just Baron's face anymore.
Yeah, to welcome our boy. What a beautiful.
Oh,
yeah.
thank you, QA.
We're getting hooked up.
They're gifting me things.
It's also possible that was just sometimes the initial acquisition takes a little while to process.
That's
on,
true.
On new accounts, so it might just be that.
If you log in and you're expecting things and they're not there the second you log in, sometimes giving it a minute or even relogging will help resolve that issue. But
so while we're here looking at art, let's look at the Ascension passes.
Yes.
Here is Shadow Baron.
Looks nice.
Have the tracker kill for coffin kills, naturally.
Of course.
We have the clap, the objectives, the god assists, the spirits consigned, number of healing spirits spawned.
Oh, that's neat.
Spirits.
So it's not just the amount you've healed; it's the number. That's
how many
cool.
actual spirits you've
That's
spawned.
cool.
That's cool. So it's essentially how many effective triggers while hysterical.
More fun.
That's a cool one, Indy.
We have
I like
the
that one.
Onyx Baron skin.
Oh, the skull.
We have the opal. Oh yeah.
The yellow.
Dude, that opal is slick.
It is. Yeah.
Dude, I feel like
This
it's
is-
like Jimmy vibes. I don't know. It's like
Oh, true. Psychedelic. Yeah.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
This is, of course, always fun. He's got the. He's opportunity
Rubbing the
strikes.
hands.
Oh
his
yeah,
hands.
dude, that's good.
see.
Dude, I love these global emotes are so good.
They are. The way he little smirk too is killing me.
Yeah, that's
cool.
what it's all about. We've got the wave.
Yep, love it.
So stylish. Edge of Death.
Edge of Death.
Big Mac boy.
Edge of Death is a silly one.
Yeah, that is funny. The mastery badge, and then finally we have Radiant.
And I want to see that border too.
Yeah.
Oh,
the
that's so
snake.
cool.
Oh,
I love how lively these are.
that's good. Dude, these card effects are so good.
They are. Oh, so good. And now we got to see Yemojas.
Oh, and there's the little skull going around too. Yeah, that's sick.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I see it there.
I think are these new in this build or were they in the last build? I forget the arrows to go back and forth from god to god. I think we changed the way that whole
that might
area
have been new.
displays a little bit, maybe.
That might have been. I told the ambassadors that was new, but I might have forgot to put it in patch notes because I typed it there and forgot. But no, yeah, you can cycle through gods like this.
Yeah, it's kind of nice. You can go back to the list. It might be easier to find, but
Nah, just click.
No, I'm going to use the feature.
fine.
Yeah.
Use the feature. Gosh.
We know the alphabet.
All right, let's look at Yemojas real quick. Oh, nope.
Oh, okay. Well,
Oh wait,
we got diamonds.
We got diamonds.
that might have been why.
Oh, maybe because we were tabbing that way.
Or maybe
That's-
because we were in the mood. We're like caught.
Oh,
Oh no,
nope,
Yemojas
okay,
does
well-
look. Wait, there it goes.
There we go. All right, that
That
was
might have
weird.
been because we were in the middle of getting gifted things.
Yeah.
It had to cook a little bit.
Shadow Yemoja.
Nice.
Which is for such a supportive, good aligned character. It's kind of interesting to see these.
That's right. We'll get there.
Evil skin, but it still looks cool.
Oh, I see somebody in chat saying ranked isn't live anymore. I think they were not turning ranked on for a little bit after we go live just to make sure the patch is stable. So it should be on probably 20, 30 minutes. I don't know.
A little later.
But yeah, soon. It's not. It's an intentional. We used to do this in the early days of Smite just to make sure nothing was completely broken when we turned the game on. And so don't freak out. It'll be back in a second.
Little stability pause.
So you get an Omi tracker here for getting the Ascension Pass.
Cool.
We have the clap, the standard trackers, the River's Rebuke kills. So the wave clap kills.
That's crazy.
That's fun. We have the Onyx
Onyx looks nice.
Very good.
and Opal.
Ooh.
She looks like a mermaid.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the
Straight up.
mermaid one from
Yep.
Smite 1.
That's
Or not mermaid, the summer one, I guess
Yeah.
it is. Yeah.
We have the global emote, which is the side-eye.
That's so
The side-eye emote. We wanted one for the backline support to use when their team is just diving and feeding, and you're just back there like, what are you all doing? That was the kind of goal we wanted for this one.
That'll be also be perfect for like the level 1 cheese gank. Like you completely peel, you're good, and just hit him with the dog. What was that?
Yeah.
So much
excuse me.
application.
Yeah. We have the wave. The title, River Goddess.
River Goddess.
Our badges and our Radiant skin. That's fitting.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fitting.
And the water bubbles frame effect.
Oh,
Very
I
nice.
love it.
My dog would be like, bubbles.
Bubbles.
Kids love bubbles.
They
Kids
love
them
bubbles.
too.
It's wild.
All right, let's see. Now we're into
Cool, let's
new
keep moving.
player experience features.
Cool. So I can talk through this part.
Yeah, go for it.
Please.
Okay, so one of the things that has not been great about Smite 2 yet is new player experience stuff because we didn't put any effort into it for the initial first close alpha patches because we thought most of the people playing were going to be Smite 1 players, right? But we knew that it sucked, so it's something we needed to fix. So now when you first load into the game, you're going to get a intro tutorial video about Arena, just kind of giving you the basics of how you play the Arena game mode.
Yeah.
And then you're going to play through a very short tutorial that if you've ever played Smite before, you can be like, why the hell are they trying to teach me these things? They're so dumb and simple. But it's basically like move, use your ability, escort a minion into the portal, right? It's very basic beginner stuff. But that's like the level of information that you need when you're a brand new player. Just basically like, how do I move and how do I use my abilities and stuff.
And you can't
right?
just hit escape and quit if you
Yeah,
want.
and yes, and that's what I was gonna say. For both of these, if you are an existing player, you can click to skip the video. You can escape to end the tutorial early.
Yeah.
You don't lose anything for not doing it. Don't feel like you have to do it. It's not gonna be very interesting to you. But if you do have feedback about any bugs that you face or anything, let us know. One thing I will say about and then also, when you click to change your mode to Conquest for the first time, you're similarly going to get an intro video giving you some tips to play Conquest, kind of explaining the mode and giving you some tips to hopefully die less, because there's a lot of things that you need to learn to play Conquest the first time, and then have a very simple Conquest tutorial. And the main focus of that tutorial is just kind of trying to teach people how do you knock down a tower? Because the thing that we find new players get stuck on the most is I can't just run under the tower and attack it. I have to escort these minions, and it's very confusing to new players. So that's really the focus of that one. There's some other things that it teaches you, but that's the main thing. So again, if you've played a lot of Smite, not going to be really interesting to you, but these are core things that people need to see to get better. The videos also, I'll say, are they're a little comedic in nature, which maybe seems a little bit weird for Smite to some people, but it's intentional. They're supposed to be a little bit more like a friend is teaching you how to play the game or giving you some tips to be successful, and a little bit less welcome to the battleground of the gods. It's not supposed to be boring. It's supposed to be fun because Smite is a fun game. So we tried to be a little bit mythological still with it, but a little bit more fun than we've been with these things in the past with the videos. So hopefully you guys like the videos. You think they're interesting. There are some hopefully decent tips in there. It's not going to teach you all the nitty gritty of when you need to use exact abilities, or when to jungle rotate, and like that's not the point of these tutorials. You're going to learn those through other things that we'll teach later, and just by playing the game. This is supposed to just be like the very beginning intro to how do I not embarrass myself in Assault and Conquest, because that's what new players really need, right?
Yeah.
Like I remember embarrassing myself in Conquest in the early days when we didn't have any tutorial when I started playing. So hopefully this helps for that reason.
Yeah, I remember embarrassing myself in Conquest yesterday. But yeah, I mean, like Alex said, we've seen y'all's consistent feedback that Smite 2 is going to be made great by working with y'all, the people who have loved it and been here with us for years. But to push forward into the future, we also need to open the doors and invite these brand new players. And the best way to do that is by understanding that they're going to come in at the ground floor, or for some people who don't game very often, maybe even below the ground floor. And we want to give them every bit of knowledge they need to go from, oh, that looks kind of cool, I know Zeus, to 5 years from now being in this community and joining y'all and being in these streams and hanging out.
Yep.
So exciting to have it.
And then we showed the Great for New Players tag that gives you that. The targeting brackets we saw when we were in the game, but if you remember in Smite 1, there's kind of like these big brackets that appear around a god when they're within range for you to attack them. And that's really important, especially for new players, to understand that like attacks do have a range to them. So we've moved that to the nameplates. So you can see, you get these kind of right there. You see that the little like brackets that show up next to the nameplate. Because we think those read better, because you're oftentimes kind of like looking at nameplates to pick people out in fights. Versus looking at the character. And the character already has a red glow that appears around them when they're in range. So we felt like it was redundant to put that on the character themselves the way it was in Smite 1.
Yeah.
So that's on minions and on gods. So hopefully that'll help people understand better when they're in range of hitting something. Another new feature that you'll see here is that every god now has this little I don't know what to call it. It's a UI widget. It's this little area.
Short description.
That has a very short kind of one sentence description of what the hell does this character do.
Yeah.
And then it gives you some specializations, that is what we're calling them. Yes, specializations, which are 3 things that this character is good at. So Amaterasu is a brawler, she is a tank, and she buffs people. If we look at Anhur, he is a sharpshooter. He has lockdown, which means like he can hard CC people, and he has mobility. So the idea is, what are the 3 words? Like Anubis is a nuker who has lockdown because he stuns people, right? And he mummifies people in chain deathmatch. Ares chains foes and drags them to their death. Like the idea was, how do we just say in a very quick moment, like when you're in the God select screen.
No, sorry. There's a few. I saw a few bugs, I think, sneaking through here. We're gonna have to do some iterations on it, but yeah.
Okay. Well,
that is the TLDR.
Yes. So that's a TLDR. We might have a couple bugs, and we'll fix them.
Yeah,
but this is the first iteration of this system. We're also going to be adding some more clarification about what roles characters are good at in another iteration. This is the first pass. Let us know what you think. Does this make it clear to know what a character does? Because when we were looking at kind of the early previews that people were doing of Smite 2 that were way too early because the game is early alpha, one of the most common things was like, I see all these gods and I have no idea what they do, and it's so hard for me to learn. So giving people just some idea of that early game we thought was very useful.
Yeah, at a glance, it looks really good.
And then the Conquest ones, which we showed you, there's the signposts that tell you which direction camps are in jungle buffs, and there's also role-specific waypoints. Those are really cool when you load into the game, especially when you have assigned to yourself a role, which you would have to play Conquest. It'll tell you which lane is your lane, and it'll give you a little indicator around your feet that points to it, so you know where to go. Those are all, the foundational level of teaching players how to play Smite beyond the tutorials, right?
Yes. Where do you go, right? And one of the hardest things for new players to learn Smite, if you think back to when you were a new player, the map flips depending on what side you're on. So you can't even just know, oh, I'm playing duo, I go right. No, it depends on what if you're order or chaos. So having these little things on the ground that show you where to go,
and you see duo lane in the distance,
and you see duo lane in the distance.
Through all of the environment art, you can just see duo lane.
And then once you get to the point, it says, okay, minions are going to spawn in 10 seconds or whatever. It gives you like the wait here, they're going to come. Don't worry, So hopefully this helps clarify the early game for new players a lot.
All right, so then we have a lot of bug fixes.
A lot of bug fixes, yeah.
Some of these are key gameplay notes as well, so we want to make sure we go through them.
Sure.
This one's really important here. This first one is body blocking is working again. Movement when it comes to body blocking other players and colliding with them should feel much more improved and much more like Smite 1. And this also, this was before this was fixed, this was leading into people like clipping inside of each other
a little bit.
Well, it was harder to body block people. You would slide past them. You could also like clip inside of them, and that would contribute to issues like Amaterasu dashing through people again. I haven't seen that nearly as much, or I don't know if I've actually seen it yet.
Yes.
After this fix, I know people saw it last update, but I want to definitely, if people know if that happened again in this update, let us know.
Yeah, please do let us know.
We've added made some adjustments to server correction to make any sort of like lag hitches like not as intense. We've fixed an issue where targeters would lag behind 1 frame at some times. So when you're aiming around, if that's lagging,
that's huge.
You feel that.
Yeah, it's noticeable.
We've put in some better safety measures just in case you do get into any perma-bugged states where you're stuck or unable to do things. There's some better checks for that. Hopefully ways to help you get out of that. We've also adjusted minion clear to make it more symmetrical. There's going to be a lot more AI, bot AI stuff working on in the future, but we know that that's a good place for us to focus on. But just from last update to this one, you should see more symmetrical wave clear. Some other general bugs applying to everybody are distance line and ruler targeters were not appearing properly in arena or jungle practice mode. Vortexes were not, immobilizations no longer cause you to stop moving in vortex. So like vortexes would stop working if you got stunned or whatever. Yeah. Or I thought some other discussion of vortexes. So that's been improved. Respawning, you could possibly respawn where you died, not in base. Fix that.
Rare bug, but it was a bad one.
Fix an issue where the Ancient Fury in Conquest would not regain HP when leashed. All right, here's some more God-specific ones. Kukulkan fixed an issue where a slipstream enhanced dash could be stored and used outside the whirlwind area. I saw people actually saying they want to keep that. But that's been fixed, and there's more fixes.
It was a bug.
If you're not seeing your fix for your god on this list, please let us know, because there's already more fixes for a lot of these gods that aren't in this update, but we're gonna keep working on them. Thanatos. There's a lot of fixes for these guys. Yeah. Fix an issue with passive reveal marker, so infinite reveal. Fix that.
That sucked.
Yeah.
Fix an issue where the heartbeat sound effects would last too long. Fix an issue where he could press specific buttons on controller to channel to teleport back to where he took off from. So there was a bunch of like broken states you could get into in the ultimate.
But you could only get into it when playing on controller. It was not a bug we were able to replicate on keyboard and mouse. But you could like take off and then go back down and take off again. It was very weird.
That is weird.
That'll happen.
Hopefully not anymore.
Well, no, and just in games in general.
Yeah. For sure.
Amaterasu, a bunch of bug fixes here. Fix an issue where the AO3 silence was playing too late and would not play at all when dashing into a point-blank range target.
Got it.
So if you were literally on top of someone when you dashed, the silence wouldn't work. Increased her movement speed during the ultimate attacks to better match the amount of distance she covers in Smite 1. Fixed an issue where the AO2 projectile size was too small to hit gods that are knocked up max height.
Okay. Yeah.
Right? It's the max Bacchus flop bug.
Yeah.
That one's a pain. We have to manually configure all those to make sure we don't miss any, and I missed that one. I'm sorry. Fixed an issue where the AO3 was knocking back minions in Smite 1. It does not do that, so it does not do that in Smite 2. Helps her 3-2 clear combo. Fix an issue where the first basic attack felt slightly too slow, so it's going to hit a little earlier in the animation.
Got it.
Fix an issue where the refire was blocked by CC and could be interrupted by CC. Her AO2 refire, her mirror refire, should always work, right? And you can also choose to shoot it and aim it in certain CCs.
Yeah.
So that's been fixed. And we've also fixed an issue where the basic attack was playing randomized swing sounds. This was a big one.
Yeah,
it's just a common configuration thing.
The feels
you can randomize sounds, or you can play scripted sounds. And when it was playing, it's the strikes are very synced up to the 1 2 3 1 2 3. And when you would just get a random 1 1 3 1 2 1, you were just like, what the hell is going on?
Such wrong.
Yeah. Odin fixed an issue where his wall collision and his ultimate would persist slightly too long. Fixed an issue with the ultimate projectile being really, really slow, chasing enemies. Fenrir fixed an issue where Seething Howl was not applying mana cost at the right time, and this could give you... This was, I think, one of the ones that could give you like infinite, super fast basic attack bug. Fixed an issue with Brutalize could follow some leaps through the air. only on high ping. I never saw that one. That's funny. Fixed an issue where his ultimate ability could permanently stun enemies. That's a big one.
Yeah, it's a little rough.
Fixed an issue where he was having jittering issues with using Brutalize on Instacast. Jingwei fixed an issue where she could cause jungle buff camps to not respawn. Some of these are rare, but bad ones, right?
Yeah.
Like if that happens to you, that's
that
just
sucks.
like big bad.
Yeah, that's like, oh.
Fixed an issue where Soul could sometimes get locked out of using her Stellar Burst. Fixed an issue where her ultimate was hitting AoE. I remember a lot of people talking about that one. Fixed an issue where her repel magic was being charged more than intended from other gods. Hades fixed an issue with the ultimate vortex ignoring slow immunity, so you no longer be able to immune vortex with slow immunity.
Which is
That was the other thing I was thinking about when I read the
Yes.
vortex line.
There
but
it is.
I should have put it.
We
yeah.
made it
So
back.
so you can't just run out of Hades ult because you're slow immune anymore.
Right. The Morrigan fixed an issue where the Dark Omen proc wasn't killing enemies and would leave them instead at 1 HP. Fixed an issue where if she obtained a kill while de-transforming, the kill would count as an assist.
That's really funny.
And Chalk fixed an issue where he could actually use his torrent to go back to base and then recall back to lane if you did it really perfectly.
Yes.
Item store fixes. Fixed an issue on PS5 where navigating highlighting could become broken. Fixed an issue where changing casting modes would cause clients to crash. Fixed an issue with the report screen either soft locking or not working. Fixed an issue where ranked leaderboards weren't showing ranks subdivisions. Fixed an issue where after trading, the names and card art would show the previous god. Fixed an issue on the end of match lobby where the player mastering XP bars would slide off the screen.
Did we talk about their stats on the end of match lobby yet?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Just didn't show it.
Okay.
Well, there's been a lot of talk about
Yeah,
this
I was like, wait, did we talk about that?
Yeah.
So a lot of audio fixes. Fixed an issue with buff drops being too loud in jungle practice. Fixed a talisman to purification being too loud on multiple allies. Fixed an issue with below to bludgeon. Fixed an issue with the level up sound. Fixed an issue with Loki's basic attack hit volumes were too quiet. Soul's ultimate too quiet. Fixed an issue where the level up audio could be heard even when set to 0. Fixed an issue with other players could hear the sunder button.
Surrender.
Surrender button.
Yes.
When it was clicked on. Oh, I remember that one.
Yeah, that was a weird
Yeah,
one.
that was weird.
And then some VO changes to the skins, Fire Giant buff belt. Some of these we didn't have time to reword into full. Fire Giant loud issue with buff belt. That's that. Sorry.
I mean, what else do
some
you
of
need
them
to know?
we put
That's
them in a
literally
rough text form.
Loud
and you have
issue
to go
bad.
back and clean them
Yeah.
up. So like
Fire giant issue loud bad. Why use more word?
yeah. Fixed Amaterasu's skin was using some wrong voice lines on the honor roll skin. And then finally,
Last but
item
not
fixes.
least.
This is the last of the patch notes, so those of you who don't like hearing me talk
did it.
will finally be free. Fixed an issue where sometimes item passives weren't applying when exiting the fountain. That was a pretty big one. We know
Yeah.
that caused a lot of issues. Fixed issues with on-hit effects breaking mezzes early. This now functions like Smite 1. So item effects will no longer break Mesmerize. So Hecate Soul Reaver is
yeah.
back.
Got it.
That's cool.
Yeah. Fix an issue with items like Deathbringer were not dealing the right amount of damage if purchased in the wrong item slot. That's wacky.
That's a weird
That is
one.
very
Yeah.
wacky.
I wish I could talk to someone so I know why. Why?
Hey, that good Titan Talks info.
Oni Hunter's Garb. This one was really bugged. Fix an issue where it was allowing more stacks than intended, and fix an issue where you could actually make you take more damage. So it was doing a lot of weird things.
Yeah.
The Reaper, and this one was just not working.
Last but not least.
Yeah, fix that.
Yeah.
Whew. I thank you for reading all of that.
Yeah.
I
Really
did not-
appreciate that, AJ.
I don't think I would have been able to do
you
that.
burned a trail through those.
That
That's
was
impressive.
pretty fast, right?
was
pretty
was,
good.
yeah, you did great.
We got through that in like an
That was
hour
good
because I took
pacing.
like a half hour to
Is there
talk at the
anything
beginning.
we
so.
want to look at, or you want to take? You want to?
So the one thing I want to say, there's one chat thing that kind of keeps coming up. It's like, I bought the Founders Pack and I don't have the new gods unlocked. Give it a couple minutes. Or like the way that our new tech works, sometimes it can take a few minutes for the things that you own to process properly on first login after an update. So if you ever find that you don't have a thing, wait 5 minutes. If you still don't have it, relog, and if you still don't have it, then it might actually be an issue.
Yeah, hit us up. We'll help you out.
But yeah, we definitely don't want you to not have the things. You should have the things. But generally, give it a couple minutes. I know it's not great. We're working on that, but that is a quirk of the system right now. So
Yeah. Overall, though, a great show, y'all. I mean,
I'm gonna real quick talk about
Yeah,
modes too,
please.
because I saw a lot of people talk about modes over this time period.
talk
Actually,
about
I'm gonna talk about two things. We're talking modes and skins real quick.
modes and skins.
Okay, so modes. Joust is still the next mode on our roster.
You heard
we are completely re-arting Joust. It's not going to be a Joust
I'm
map.
on live now. I can't cheat.
It's not going to be a Joust map that's ported over directly from Smite 1. The layout, I believe, is very close to the Chinese Joust that everybody loves, but the art is going to be completely new. So because the art's going to be completely new, it's going to take us a little bit longer to get that map out to you because it's going to be awesome and it's going to be beautiful. So it is the first thing we're working on. It just is coming.
And we're planning on putting duel on that map as well.
Yes. So we'll have both Joust and duel. Assault, I know that rough ETA, I would say not in the next couple months for Joust because it is a big arc of work, but it's the thing that we're working on and we're going to show off more of it. So, I don't know if that makes waiting easier or harder, but it is the thing that we are working on right now. The Assault is our next biggest priority, but we know that people don't really want to wait for the full time for us to make a new Assault map. So what we're currently thinking that we're going to do, and again, this is still a few months away, but just because people are going to ask about it.
You're doing the big spoiler, huh?
No, but this isn't a huge spoiler, I don't think. Is this too big of a spoiler?
No, go for it.
So
Spoiler away.
That's me. For Assault, the idea is that we're going to do the Assault rule set on either a cut down version of the Conquest map or on a cut down version of the Joust map. So you'll be able to play Assault with maybe some interesting little rule tweaks. Probably not too much because Assault is what it is, but just not on its own truly unique map.
It's going to be a true all random, all mid
Yes.
Conquest map.
Truly.
Which I think is exciting.
I think it's cool, and we were talking about the ambassadors, and they had some interesting ideas for like maybe some little gameplay tweaks that we could do that would make it interesting on that map. So I'm pretty excited about it, but that also will be kind of coming probably along the same timeline that we get Joust into the game. So again, I don't think people really want to play that much Assault until we get to around 50 gods. So I would say probably around that same time frame is when you get Assault.
Yeah, give you that variety.
Right.
Yep. And then let's see. I think there was skins was the other thing. So some people are like, when do we get our cross-gen skins that we purchased in Smite 1 or like for that aren't already released in Smite 2. We said this when we I think the last update we said this, that we were going to be focusing more on gods and we were going to be pausing skin production.
Yep.
The thing that is enabling us to get to 50 gods very quickly is that we are not spending time working on skins right now. We will be bringing all those skins over. We haven't forgotten about them, but we feel like the thing the community wants most right now is getting a lot more gods quickly.
Yep.
And we can't both do a lot more gods quickly and bring over all of the cross-gen skins immediately.
So does that apply to the most recent Smite 1 cross-gen skins?
So I believe I think those ones are actually like the ones from the most recent Battle Pass, I think are done and are in Smite 2 already.
Okay.
But if you don't see it in Smite 2 right now,
He's an Odin.
it's probably, the Hades and Odin one, right? From the last Battle
Anything
Pass.
after that.
But pretty much anything that you don't see in Smite 2 right now, there may be a couple skins that were like almost done that we end up finishing or whatever. Yeah. But pretty much anything that you don't see in Smite 2 right now in terms of skins won't be coming in the near term because we're focusing so much on gods. And we know that like we need to make the core game amazing before we try and sell you any shit that you probably, I'm sure you would enjoy. But like you aren't going to enjoy it if the game isn't good. So we need to make the game good. We need to ship more gods. We need to focus on the core things that matter most right now. And then we'll focus on bringing over more skins and bringing over all new skins and that kind of thing. So,
I have the end of match lobby pulled up, I think.
Oh, cool.
Well, let's switch
Let's
to
look at
the game then and see
It's
it.
it's cut off because of the way the production does it, the full screen.
There we go.
Yeah, so it's not a full team because I was just in a solo custom because I'm in live. I can't cheat and stuff, but you can see player level, KDA, GPM, damage is player damage, minion damage, jungle minion damage, structure damage, damage taken, damage mitigated, self-healing, ally healing, and wards place.
We got the numbers.
And you'll be able to see this color-coded blue and red for the teams. You'll see all 10 players here.
And I'll say like, this is very much a first draft of the screen, and we shipped this screen early because we knew you wanted the numbers, right? Like, there's a lot of things that
UI art updates.
this needs to like one of the things we want to do is like either alternating colors on the rows or something to make it easier to scan that, like putting a highlight on your row, like all that stuff is stuff we're aware of and we're going to do, but we wanted you to get the numbies in game sooner. So we shipped something sooner because we're in alpha and we should be doing that. We should be shipping things and getting your feedback on them and making them better. So this is another example of that.
Inform.
Yeah, I think that's it.
We could probably
coming up of stuff we talked about earlier. So
yes,
if you're coming late, maybe go back in the VODs or
yes.
we got numbies.
Awesome. Well, hey, I just want to say, like, again,
it's a good spot to stop though.
We'll wrap it up. I know most people are probably playing the game at this point, and you know, but you know, I'll say thank you to the community for watching this, for listening. Like we said at the beginning, it's been a rough week, but we remain very excited about Smite 2. I think tomorrow is going to be me and Isaiah's first, not Smite 2, our first talk. What were we calling
Alex, can't change.
Titan talk.
Smite 2.
Yeah, I think we would get sued if we actually called it that, so we should probably not.
True, don't want to get sued. Not really.
Yeah, I see Jessica being like, don't do that. That's a horrible legal idea. But
a lot of people asking for us to make official Big Mac Boy stuff, and for obvious reasons, that'd be illegal as well.
Yes. Also, we do not actually own the copyrights to Big Mac, and we are not a big enough company to be able to.
It's just
a
random player username.
Yes.
Yeah.
But no. Isaiah and I will be talking to you guys 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and we'll be talking about your feedback and what you guys like and what you don't like and what you're feeling, and like we'll be reading and interacting with chat the whole time. This isn't a show that we're going to come to with like, here's a full hour of us planned things to talk about. It's like, no, we're going to be interacting with you guys. So tell us what you think, tell us what you're feeling, and we want to hear it. And I'm sure we'll have a few things we want to talk about every patch or every show, but not. It's a show for you. It's not a show for us.
It's an open platform to come and talk to us and have that open line of communication. So again, we've gone over a lot of crazy stuff, but end of the day, we're moving faster. We're trying to strike at the heart of all these issues y'all are bringing us, and we're just trying to make Smite the best thing it's ever been because we love this game. So again, thank y'all too for coming and hanging out and talking through all this amazing stuff today. And I guess it's time to go start playing Smite 2, update CA3.
The Smite 2 memes are already flowing.
Oh God, yeah. I think
Max
that'll
photoshopped one for real. Me and Alex sitting with Haley.
I feel like the Reddit is just going to be overwhelmed with the memes.
And I will upvote all of them.
Yes, but yeah, again, I appreciate you guys. Thank you all for listening to the show today. We do this every day because of you, and it's really an honor to make a game that so many people care so much about, and you guys wouldn't be so upset about things if you didn't care and love the game, and the same way we do, maybe even more for some of you. So I really do appreciate you all. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you everybody. Thank y'all too for being here, and we will see y'all in the next one. Bye, Smite fam.
Made in Georgia.